So at the outset, I would like to thank Madam Tejinder Kataria, Dr. Kataria. She has been extremely kind in inviting me for this session. Dr. Deepak, who has really coordinated very well and he has kept in touch with me. Dr. Shyam Bish and the whole Medanta team. And of course, Dr. Kanu Patro for agreeing to moderate this session. I thank you all. And let us get into the topic. The topic today is stereotactic body radiotherapy in carcinoma pancreas, and I see there is a lot of audience. So primarily I'll be sticking to the clinical stuff, and we will be, at the same time talking about few concepts in the radiosurgery of carcinoma pancreas, because we keep talking about a lot of radiosurgery in carcinoma lung and bony metastasis and lymph node mets, but pancreas is somehow not talked so much about. So this is so this is my first slide, and this is an article we had written from our department. I always say that there is a resurgence of role of radiotherapy in the neoadjuvant treatment of pancreatic cancers. 10 years back, radiation was written off. In locally advanced, where surgery was not available, people tried various regimes, but eventually they all turned out to be either palliative kind of treatment or treatment protocols with not much improvement in overall survival. But recent data, recent trials, radiation is hopeful in pancreas, and it is doing good to pancreatic cancer patients, especially to the borderline resectable pancreatic cancer patients. So today, my talk flow would be, why do we need SBRT in pancreatic cancer? That's the rationale. The therapeutic principle, in whom, that is the primary indications, the evidence, the patient selection, the basic requirements, that means the preparation process, contouring, dose, nuances. Everything is in a gist, not in detail. Something about the current guidelines. Astro has come up with a wonderful guideline, the future direction, and the take-home message. So why SBRT in pancreatic cancer? Rationale is very simple. Pancreas has been an aggressive tumor, not from today. It has been an aggressive tumor from decades, for centuries rather. At diagnosis, only 20% of patients have resectable tumor, and about 40% present with a locally advanced state. 60% of patients have local progression, and up to 1/3 die from complications relating to local progression like biliary gastric obstruction or portal vein occlusion. So pancreas is a disease unlike various other cancers where local progression causes havoc and not only systemic metastasis that patients die of. Previous concurrent chemo radiation results have been discouraging, and achieving local control, especially in borderline resectable or locally advanced disease, may lead to significant improvement in survival outcome. And hence, why it will lead to significant improvement, because in borderline resectable, if you can turn them into resectable, in turn the survival enhances. So that is how SBRT has gained popularity in borderline resectable pancreatic cancer, because it does not compromise the potential surgical option, does not increase post-operative complication, is associated with higher rate of R0 section, and is reasonably well tolerated. And this, you have to read this article to understand all these concepts. So what is the therapeutic principle of SBRT in pancreas? Why were we failing all these years? Because of duodenum, the C loop of duodenum surrounding the head, the uncinate process, and part of neck, we would never be able to reach a very high BED. And to achieve a high local control, you need a BED of at least 100 Gray for ablation. And duodenum was turning out to be the dose limiting structure. So pancreatic SBRT came in as a novel therapeutic option, which radiation oncology group started evaluating. And that is because of optimizing the technological advancements in radiation dose delivery, the image guidance, and the motion management, which has enabled very high dose to be delivered to the body or the uncinate process or the tail of pancreas, and protecting the critical organs, primarily duodenum. And of course, there are various other organs which interplay, which we'll be talking about. This is what, I mean, it has taken me a lot of time, and I think students need to understand this. So, what is borderline resectable? What is locally advanced? And what is potentially resectable? So, resectability we judge in view of the SMV portal vein, the SMA, that is superior mesenteric artery, the CHA, that is the common hepatic artery, and the celiac trunk. There are three different groups talking about it. The NCCN group being little more liberal than the other two groups, which I'll be talking about the next slide. But conceptually, what we need to know is, in a vein, if your tumor vessel interface is less than 180, often more than 90% of time, that is potentially resectable. If your tumor vessel interface is more than 180 degree, and or you can reconstruct the vein, or you can reconstruct the occlusion, that falls under the category of borderline resectable. And if you cannot reconstruct the occlusion, it is unresectable. In arteries, that is your celiac trunk or your superior mesenteric artery, you do not have that liberty. So for unresectability, I mean, for complete resectability, you should have no tumor vessel interface. Similarly, in celiac trunk, you should have no tumor vessel interface. If your tumor vessel interface is less than 180 degree, you are borderline. That means you can still get away by resecting the tumor. And if your tumor vessel interface becomes more than 180 degree, then it becomes unresectable or locally advanced pancreatic cancer. Common hepatic artery is a reconstructable artery. So if you can reconstruct a short segment of a common hepatic artery, even though there is a tumor vessel interface of more than 180 degree, then it is taken as borderline resectable. If you cannot, it is taken as unresectable. This is how a R0 or a resectable looks like. See, your veins and arteries are quite far off from the tumor. This is what I exactly talked about, is a borderline resectable, and this is encasement of the artery of more than 180 degree, and vein is also reasonably occluded. So this is a unresectable situation. Now to expand on this, I think that is beyond the scope of, that is more surgical than us, but I think still we should know there are three groups. That's MD Anderson, that is AHPBA, and the NCCN. These two groups reasonably follow what I talked about so far. Whereas NCCN has been little liberal, and in the celiac axis, even if there is a contact, but it is less than 180 degree and it is surgically resectable, it falls under the category of borderline resectable. So far we have talked about the rationale, the concepts, and what is borderline resectable or unresectable. Now let us get into the evidence. Evidence also, I will limit myself. There is enough, lot of evidence. I am not going to discuss all of them, but what I'm going to discuss is what was early evidence, where it all started from. Do we have any large body of evidence, and are there any randomized controlled trials going on or not? So early evidence was in 2004, dose escalation study by the Stanford group. They treated 7 patients, 25 gray, single fraction. But 25 gray is not the dose fractionation they had started from. They escalated from 15 to 20, then 25. None of those patients had grade 3 GI toxicity or more. The median survival was 11 months. Most of the patients died of metastatic disease. So this is an important review. I think this was published in Clinical Oncology or Cancer in 2017. This is Degu's stereotactic body radiotherapy for unresectable pancreatic cancer, a nationwide review. They compared chemotherapy alone with chemotherapy patients receiving EBRT, IMRT, or SBRT, and the unadjusted median survival for chemotherapy alone was 9.9, and EBRT was 10.9 months, IMRT was 12 months, and SBRT being the highest, 13.9 months. In a separate matched analysis, SBRT remained superior to chemotherapy alone, statistically significant, and also to external beam radiation therapy, statistically significant. But this was a nationwide review. Mind you, this was not a prospective randomized trial. Similarly, this is a meta-analysis. This is a very popular meta-analysis, CRISP meta-analysis, which has evaluated a total of 470 studied, of which finally they came down to 20 studied, and they wanted to see the difference between matched pair analysis of SBRT versus conventionally fractionated radiation therapy. And if you see this, the 2-year overall survival in the SBRT arm is 26.9% as compared to only 13.7% in the conventionally fractionated radiotherapy arm, indicating that SBRT has a better overall survival at 2 years. But surprisingly, this study did not have a better overall survival at 1 year. I have enlisted all the SBRT studies in locally advanced pancreatic cancers, and some of them also had borderline resectable pancreatic cancer. So see, these are the type of dose fractionation schedule. They had started with 15 to 25 grain, 1 fraction. Then they went on to the 3 fraction schedules. And of late, people have realized probably the 5 fraction or 6 fraction schedule is the way to go. These are the toxicities, not too much of grade 3 toxicity. Few studies have quoted around 8% of grade 3 toxicity. Some studies have quoted around 12.5% of grade 3 toxicity. In one particular study, I saw 16% of grade 3 toxicity. This is a recent study which was conducted between 2012 and 2016, and 20% grade 1-2 toxicity in this particular study. Why I have highlighted this is one patient had a fatal hematemesis 6 months after SBRT, and the patient died. So that reiterates that GI toxicity, especially duodenum, is important while treating pancreas with SBRT. So what about borderline resectable pancreatic cancer? Data has just started emerging. There is the current evidence about borderline resectable pancreatic cancer is scarce, but the medical oncologists and the surgeons have started incorporating borderline resectable pancreatic cancer in their treatment paradigm. These are the 2 studies I have highlighted here. 90% of R0 resection rate, which is encouraging. 70% underwent surgery, which is again encouraging. And median overall survival is 20 months. Similarly, in another study, 57 patient, 31 out of 32 had R0 resection and median overall survival of 16.4 months, which is again encouraging. This is the Alliance Pancreas trial. And I was waiting very eagerly for the data, but that something good will happen to arm B, that is the radiation arm. So what they had done is M-FOLFIRINOX for 4 cycle, restage, again 4 cycles of M-FOLFIRINOX and surgery, that was arm 1, and 4 cycles, restage, 3 cycles, and radiation therapy, SBRT, that was arm 2. And after surgery, they went on to receive FOLFIRINOX. But unfortunately, just recently, 2021 published result. In fact, the last talk I had given, this data was not there, and it is there. And to our discouragement, this 18 months overall survival to the non-SBRT arm is 67%, and the SBRT arm is 47%. Of course, there are a lot of criticisms, but data is data, and this is what it is in front of us. So we now have to keenly wait for the Stanford study, which is modify, again, same thing, FOLFIRINOX alone or with addition of SBRT in locally advanced pancreatic cancer. And this time the primary endpoint is metastasis-free survival. Now let's talk about the patient selection. So much so about evidence, we'll be talking about patient selection now. Whom do we select? Good ECOG, fit patient, borderline resectable pancreatic cancer or LAPC, patient with active duodenal or gastric ulcers are not acceptable for SBRT, resolved previous ulcers are acceptable, patient with direct tumor invasion of the bowel or stomach are not acceptable for SBRT, distance from stomach and bowel is the key. Patient should not be treated with SBRT if SBRT specific OAR constraint cannot be met, and you have to keep a track on the bilirubin. Basic requirement, patient should have a 4D CT simulation to assess the tumor motion. Certain centers, they can, fluoroscopy is also allowed to do the tumor motion evaluation. Patient must be treated with SBRT only if tumor motion management can be done by the motion management techniques. Department should have the facility to do daily volumetric image guidance, because mind you, in theory, we may keep saying anything, but finally, there everything looks like one wide band of soft tissue. So if we have managed to place fiducials, that is the ideal. Fiducial based image guided SBRT has had, so I mean, among the image guidance for pancreas, that is rated as the at the highest end. If you do not have fiducial, you should do daily CBCT, and you should have, I mean, ideally you should have a 4D CT or a respiratory motion management technique. Assessment of pre-existing cardiac and lung conditions to implement breath hold techniques. Kinetic protocol have to be started 2 to 3 days prior to simulation, counseling, training, breathing exercise, spirometer, fiducial I talked about, at least ideally 3 CIFCO Visicoil gold anchor in around in or at the periphery or within 1 centimeter from the tumor, which is at normal pancreas, under US or CT guidance to be done at least 3 days prior. A baseline image has to be kept to match and ascertain that the fiducial has not moved from its site. Process is supine position with a customized immobilization device, whatever is suitable to your department and which has the least systemic error for your department. Empty stomach, 4-hour fasting. Ensure no unusual distension of stomach, duodenum of bowel. Use enema if the bowel is loaded. Use oral contrast diluted in 50 ml of water given 20 minutes prior to the scan. That is ideal. A 4D CT has to be taken to assess the respiratory motion. Certain centers, as I said, can do fluoroscopic tracking. If tumor motion is more than 5 millimeter, respiratory motion management has to be done. Breath hold technique, there are various studies which propose deep expiratory breath hold method to be the most preferred method, because end expiratory scans are the most reproducible. Other methods are comfortable breath hold methods, deep inspiratory breath hold methods. Slice thickness should be 2 millimeter or less. A triphasic CT scan should be obtained. So the timing for late arterial phase is around 30 seconds, that is 25 to 35. Pancreatic parenchymal phase is around 45 to 50. And just after that is portal venous phase 1, because this shows tumor to pancreas enhancement ratio. It's a very comfortable phase for pancreatic contouring, which is around 55 to 60 seconds. And if you wish, you can take a late venous phase at 110 to 120 seconds. Quality assurance of the plan is must prior to starting the treatment. I am not getting into binning of 4D CT, how to acquire the 4D CT. Let's focus on pancreatic cancer. Otherwise, we will our focus will get drifted to respiratory motion management. So purposely, I have kept it out of our domain. Now, the contouring part of it. This is how all your phases look like. This is the coronal section. So your A and C are arterial enhancement phase, and B and D are delayed venous phase. This is just to show the immobilization device. You can have one or two words about abdominal compression. We have been using abdominal compression with extremely good results and reproducibility. So this is how a mechanical abdominal compression plate looks like, which has a bar, and this gets attached to the side of the SBRT plate. Now this is a mechanical device which you can keep rotating, and you will ascertain the pressure. So you have got pressure marks 20, 30, 40, and you can decide what is the pressure today. It should not be too uncomfortable for the patient, but it should be reproducible. There is another way of there is a pneumatic pressure way also. Like this is a mechanical pressure screw. You have like a BP apparatus, sphygmomanometer. You have a manometer there, and you just keep pressing. You generate a pressure and you lock it there so that the air cannot release. And that is another way to do abdominal compression. I don't have pictures of that here. This is all breath hold techniques and free breathing techniques and how to bin. I mean, you have to bin in 10 different phases of respiration, and then you have to summate, and then you generate the 4D CT, and then you draw the ITV in 10 different phases. As I said, I am not getting into that. What I want to really get into for the benefit of radiation oncologists here and students is the contouring guidelines for carcinoma pancreas. People are still very confused about if you want to have a successful protocol, if you want your patients to do well, there are certain norms in contouring. There are certain concepts that one needs to follow. And today, my main thrust of my talk is make you understand and make the students understand how this is done. So GTV primary and GTV node is simple. Only primary tumor, only gross nodes, do not include elective stations. Vessels, arteries, you all know, common hepatic, lex gastric, celiac, superior mesenteric. So all the rest three are branches of celiac artery. Celiac axis divides into these three branches at D12 region, and just 1.5 centimeter below that, the superior mesenteric artery branches out. So these are the three branches of celiac axis. Sorry, superior mesenteric is not a branch. Your splenic artery, left gastric artery, and common hepatic artery are the branches of celiac axis. Celiac axis has already started emanating maybe 2-3 slices before this. And just as you keep going down, after the emanation of celiac axis, you will see after it has given the three branches, just below that, you will see the superior mesenteric artery emanating. Okay, so what do we need to draw contour in our pancreatic SBRT protocols? You have drawn the gross tumor volume. Great, you have GTV is ready. There is a very important area which you need to draw, and please think in 3 dimensions and not in 2 dimensions. That is the tumor vessel interface. So how do you draw a tumor vessel interface? The simplest thing to draw a tumor vessel interface is, first you create a 5 millimeter outward boundary from the gross tumor volume. So tumor vessel interface by definition is the part of the major vessel in the upper abdomen which is within 5 centimeters of GTV primary. So you create an outer boolean of the outer structure of 5 centimeters from the GTV primary. Now don't think in 2 dimension, you think in 3 dimension. So from GTV primary, you have created a 5 millimeter margin. Now look at this vessel, which is just passing along this way. So all this part of this vessel, which is within 5 millimeters from the gross tumor, is your TVI, that is tumor vessel interface. Similarly here, this is your, This is your tumor vessel interface. This is celiac axis starting, and then you will have the three branches giving way. This you all know, I will not get into that. These are the structures you need to draw. What is the next most important thing? So you have a GTV primary, you have a tumor vessel interface. You have contoured all your stomach, duodenum, all the arteries, all the veins, all that your contouring is ready. Now, how do you prescribe your dose? How do you give your margins? And what are the volumes? So you have a tumor vessel interface, you have a gross tumor volume. You have to create a third structure now, which is called PRV GI. That is the Boolean of all the hollow structures like stomach, duodenum, and bowel, and give a 3 millimeter expansion to that, and that is called PRV GI. So that is stomach plus duodenum plus bowel plus 3 millimeter, and you summate it into PRV GI. This has been taken from the TMH practicum, which was, and our variant practicum, which we had at as part of our school, which is basically an extension of the Australian guidelines, So now, what are your PTVs? Tumor vessel interface requires the highest dose, mind you. So tumor vessel interface, which you have already drawn, which is here, the blue structure, which is 5 millimeter within your GTV, you give it a 3 millimeter margin, and that is your 42 gray volume. What is your 36 gray volume? It is your tumor vessel interface, Boolean with GTV plus 3 millimeters, and edited from PRV GI. That is, no amount of PRV GI should be in it, and that is your intermediate volume, that is your 36 gray volume. And third one is TVI plus 3 millimeter, GTV plus 3 millimeter, and do not edit it from PRV GI, let it spill, and that is your 30 gray volume. So these are the 3 volume envelopes you are supposed to create. If you don't want to get into intricacies of such a tedious contouring, I'll tell you a simpler way. GTV 40, that is GTV primary and GTV node. CTV 40 is GTV plus TVI. Create a PTV 40 with CTV or ITV plus 5 millimeter. But you still create a TVI. The problem here is bowel around the GTV ends up getting a lot of dose up to 40 gray. So you have to be careful of the viscous PRV or the bowel, because you have only one volume of 40 gray, whereas this, which I talked about, has 3 volume ranges, and you have ensured that your bowel is getting least and tumor vessel interface is getting most. So these are the minor and major deviations of the plan evaluation protocol. I think you can, this PowerPoint will be there with you. You can go and read it. These are, duodenum is a very important structure, and these are all the parameters, the minor variations and the major variations. This is a chart we should always have with us. Delivery of treatment is important. After all the contouring and planning, I'm not getting into too much of physics nuances of planning. There may be a lot of physics, and we can discuss it during question and answer session, but I'm not getting into the beam arrangements of planning. But principally, the beam arrangement has to be great. There has to be advanced motion management. There has to be image guidance, and there has to be adaptive planning techniques. This is another document I wanted to discuss with you all, which is from Pro 2019, Radiation Therapy for Pancreatic Cancer, Executive Summary of a Astro Clinical Practice Guideline. And I will only be talking about the radiosurgery part, the SBRT part of it. I'll not be talking about the conventional radiation part of it. So Following surgical resection of pancreatic cancer, adjuvant SBRT is only recommended on a clinical trial purpose. The strength of recommendation is strong. That means they are telling you, do not keep enrolling patient outside of clinical trial in SBRT protocol following surgery. The evidence for that is very weak. For patient with borderline resectable pancreatic cancer and select locally advanced pancreatic cancer, appropriate for downstaging prior to a surgery, a neoadjuvant therapy regime of systemic chemotherapy followed by SBRT is conditionally recommended. And the answer is yes, it is conditionally recommended. It is turning out to be incorporated into the protocols. For patients with borderline resectable pancreatic cancer, 30 to 33 gray in 6 gray per fraction, an integrated boost up to 40 gray to the tumor vessel interface is conditionally recommended. And that's exactly what I talked about. You should have multiple volumes and tumor vessel interface. You should go up to 40 gray equivalence. And yes, that is conditionally accepted. For patient with borderline resectable, there's no rocket science here. Do we recommend a gross small margin for a gross tumor volume? Of course, we recommend a small margin and not a large margin, and do not treat elective nodes, which we have talked about.